Hi guys, my name is Nico and I'm going to show you the new features of release version 2.5 of NetLock RMM. Let's jump straight to the overview. Taking a look on the overview, we have some new features, and the biggest new feature is the Linux and macOS agent. It comes with a full feature support that includes job sensors, remote shell functionalities, file browser, and a lot of more features. Then there's the one-click installer that enables you to simply create a setup file through the web console and then executing it on your customer machines, and it will automatically install the agent plus your server configuration. Then there's the Members Portal API, which will be extended in the future, but for now it is used to synchronize packages and license information. And then we have some changes. In this case, it's the agents are now standalone and architecture based. Means you don't need to install any third-party dependencies anymore. You can just execute the installer on any machine, and that can be macOS, Linux, or Windows, and it will simply be installed. Yeah, that's for it. And now let's jump straight to the action, and I'm going to show you the new features. Taking a look on the device overview, the most obvious change here is the corresponding icon for the platform. So we have the Windows, Linux, and macOS icon for each device. Of course, you can see the platform under the operating system. Then we have an online status displayed with a color. In this case, green means the device is online. And then there's the gray for offline devices. And if you go to unauthorized, and there you have, for example, orange if the device is online but not authorized, or gray if it's just not online. Let's jump straight to the new Ubuntu agent. If you're taking a look on it, we can see we have the basic or general information just like on Windows, because everything that is supported on the Windows agent and that is not platform specific is also supported on the Linux and macOS agent. That includes a full history of all the device hardware history. And the same for the processor. You can see some details about how much handlers are existing, or the processors. You can also take a look at the history, then the RAM utilization. Then we also have an overview about the networks that are currently attached with the device. Then you have a drives overview. Now that's a lot. That's just because how Linux works. You can view every mounted drive here. This case is our main drive, so we can see it. Yeah, it's pretty easy to detect. It's around 40 gigabytes big in size, and you can see how much is occupied. Also, of course, you can go into the history for this one. So if you want to know what kind of partition or drive was full at a certain time, you can take a look in the history. Then under applications, we have the installed applications overview. That's just like with the packet manager, so you can see all the packages that are installed on the system. For example, you can also search for stuff like nano, and then you can also see the command to remove it. But I think that's pretty common, and I think you know how to remove a package. And then you have the service overview. And the service overview, you can see all the services that are currently running or not running on a machine, on the Linux machine. You can also mark an service and then check the status, start it, stop it, and restart it. And that now we can jump straight to the task manager. And there you have a task manager overview where you can see all the processes that are currently running with the path and the command line and the process ID. And you can also terminate processes from here. Of course, I shouldn't terminate the NetLock agent, but you can do that. Then under remote, there's remote shell history. I think that's also known from the Windows client again. And so now let's just jump straight to the remote shell. I added a small cut here because I want to show you some outputs of the remote shell. But first of all, we are going into the remote shell, going into it, authenticate ourselves. Once you're authenticated, we can enter any comment you want. In this case, I want to know what files are in the home directory and for this device, and in this case it's just a NetLock agent installer. You can also, yes, let's take a look on the main drive, and then we can close that, but we could also execute other commands. For in this case, for example, I've executed sudo apt update and apt upgrade, and then after it's finished, we can see the output. Yeah, that's that. Then we are going on to file browser, and what you can do is you can access the remote file system of the Linux devices. So in this case, you are going to select the drive. In our case, it's the main drive, and then we can access everything. With everything, I mean everything. So, for example, you have the agent installer here. We can right-click it and download. And then we will simply download the agent installer in this case, but this could be any other file too. You can create new files, and you can also upload files. You can also create new folders. You can delete files, you can move files and rename files. That's for the remote features for the Linux agent. And we are going to jump now to the jobs and sensors, and we are going to also explain the Mac features there. Jumping straight to the scripts, you can now see that you can add platform-based scripts. In this case, we have a Linux bash script. Then we want to, because we want to upgrade our distribution and update our packages. So if you're going to jobs, you can now click on add a new job, and then you can, for example, type in Linux update job, just as an example. Then you want to schedule it. In this case, this will be boot. So every time the user or the boots his machine workstation, or maybe the server is being restarted, you want to update all the packages. Then you select the platform. In our case, it's Linux now. Then the type bash, and then we select the script. It's a Linux update script. We confirm it. Then what you can do is go to sensors, and there we have a bigger sensor overview now. All the sensors that are supported for Windows that are not platform specific, like the Windows NetLock feature, are also supported on Linux and macOS. For example, if you click on that, we can select the platform Linux. Then you have utilization, and under utilization you have processor, RAM utilization, drive utilization. You can also pin that down to processors. And you also have a bash sensor. That means, for example, you execute a script. That will be, for example, the Linux update script. And then if there's an error occurring, you could filter for the specific error. Also with regex, that's supported. I just just think about a not existing error, just something like, yeah, just error code. So if this message is being, if this is the result of the update script, you will be notified. And what you also can do then is define an action script. For example, if you would have like a fixed script because there's a known issue for some distributions maybe in your company, you could just counter that issue with another script. You of course can also get notified about the events by email, Microsoft Teams, Telegram, Notify SH, and you can also configure how often a sensor should hit in a row until you will be notified. But that's stuff that I already explained in a previous video. So let's just go through the other categories. Then there's the service sensor. Yeah, just like on Windows, if you have a service that is stopped, for example, just maybe armored, then you get a notification, and you can also select the action, for example, starting it. And you can also perform a script execution if required. Then there's the ping sensor. The ping sensor, it's pretty simple. If the ping status is successful, that means if you were able to, if the agent was able from that machine to ping a service, you will be notified. Or if it's failed, that's for example, if to check if a machine is down, you will be also notified. If you're going to platform macOS, we can see that nothing changed because all the sensors I just showed you are the same for macOS, with the difference that we are not using bash here, it's ZJ. That's for the sensors. What we can do now is to go to policies, then demo policy, and under jobs we can assign the job. This is of course platform specific, so you can also assign the same policy for Windows, Linux, and macOS devices if they are in the same tenant or group or whatever, depending on your automations. Taking again a look on the device overview, we have our Mac machine here. If we select it, we also see some information about that. Just a quick note, this is a virtual machine. This is not a real Mac, so some informations might be a little different or off in comparison to a real Mac device. What we can see here, for example, is the firewall status. This is also covered on Linux and Windows. And so there will be an upcoming sensor where you get a notification if you wish so, if a device is being turned off on a user device. Then we have the processor overview, the RAM utilization overview, the network overview again, then the drive overview again, like on Linux and Windows. And we can jump straight to applications. On the applications, we can see any application that is installed on the Mac machine. You can also see the name, you can see the version, the installation path, the manufacturer, and the uninstall comment, for example, if you wish to remove an application from a user machine. Then we have the service overview. In the service overview, you can see all the services that are running on the machine, also who is running them and or who registered them. You can also see the live status. You can start, stop, and restart them. Just as information. Going to Task Manager, also here you have an overview about all the processes that are currently running on the Mac. You can also select one and then terminate it. You can take a look on the user that is running it, and you have some more information like the command line and the usage. Going to Remote, we can straight jump into the remote shell. And here we can execute our remote commands. For example, of course, listing us all the folders again, or any other comment you want to execute. That depends on your use case. Then if you're going to file browser, you can open up the file browser, and the same for like on the Linux here for Mac. Here we can drive through all the drives, go through all the drives, and we can upload files, download files, browse files, create folders, delete them, like I said, remove them or rename them, and yeah, just accessing the file system remotely. That's it for the Mac. Now we can continue with the new changes and features. So another big thing that you requested a lot is the one-click installer. Means what we can do now is we can simply go into the web console, go on the agent download, create a new configuration, select the configuration, then we provide our information about our backend, and then we can scroll down, and then what you can do is we can create a one-click installer. That means that the config that you previously was required to provide through parameters, and by downloading the config file, you can now create a single installer file that can be executed on the remote machine, and that works for Linux, Windows, and macOS. In our case, I'm going to show it just on the Windows now. We're going to select WinX64. We can also have an ARM support, and then we click on Download Installer. And now we need to yeah, it takes some time. We need to wait a little because your installer is currently being generated on your backend. A few seconds later, we can now download the agent. In our case, we already downloaded it, and the download starts automatically if you don't block that with your browser. Otherwise, you can just select the URL and then download it manually. If you're going here, we can, under downloads, we can open the download folder, copy that. Now we are going on our test machine, paste it in, extract the zip file. Now all you need is this installer file. You don't need this file, this is not required. Just right click the executable, then run it as administrator. As you can see, now the config is being loaded and the agent is being installed. Just wait a little, and then we can also see it popping up on the demo overview, device overview. And I'm not stopping the video here now because I just want to give you some insights into the installation process and how quick it actually is. Now it's starting the services. There we go, the installation is finished. Now if you're going to unauthorize, this might take a little and the device will pop up here. And there we go, it's already here. And if you can just select it, authorize, and then go to authorize again, there we have the machine. Simple as that. The same applies for Linux and macOS. Will be a separate video where I'm going to explain how to install them, the agent on Linux and macOS, but as you can see, that's pretty easy. Next thing is the Members Portal API. The MemberSpot API will be extended in the future, but now it's just like a set for the package and license synchronization. If you go back into the console, then on the settings system, you need to set the MemberSpot API key. This is not required if you're using the open source version. You can simply compile NetLock yourself if you required and also disable the Members Portal API in the app settings JSON. But if you're using the Members Portal and the packages provided from there, you can go with that. Simply paste it in, then save it, and it updates your license information and also downloads the latest packages on your server backend as soon as your server backend is being restarted or redeployed, whatever. There will be more features coming in the next months, and stuff like instance monitoring, uptime monitoring, and code that will be also realized through the Members Portal API, and also like checks for the Let's Encrypt certificate if it's still active or if it's going to run out or if it's invalid, stuff like that. But you can expect a lot of more features coming through the Members Portal API in the future. Now the last thing that changed is that the agents are now standalone. And standalone in this case means there are no third-party dependencies required to be installed anymore on the machines. That means no .NET framework needs to be installed. It doesn't matter, or almost doesn't matter, how the update state of the machines are. As long as they ever got an update in the past, the agent should be installed and running without any issues, without installing any third-party dependencies, which is really, really, really good for deploying them in bigger environments without interrupting users by installing Windows updates previously and rebooting the machines. So that's no longer a thing now. That's it for the main changes. If you want to take a look on the new roadmap, it's online in the documentation. Also the fixes, what stuff that has been fixed and some other stuff that has been changed is also visible under the change logs, also in the documentation. But that's the most important, these were the most important changes. And if you need any help, contact us or go and join our Discord for community support. And yeah, and see you in the next one.